So welcome to OSINT Curious. This is December 15. Go ahead, we'll introduce ourselves. Go ahead, Dutch.
Hi, Dutch OSINT guy here.
Sector.
Hey, Sector here.
And I'm Kirby, Kirbster on Twitter. And we have a small group today, but we've got some cool things to talk about. Thank you to the people attending with us. We are looking for new corporate sponsors and Patreon sponsors as well. And the reason that we are kind of asking right now is we're trying to get ready for that OSINT Summit coming up. And we're going to get Dutch there for sure. That's basically the money from our sponsorships gets us to travel places and present at conferences, that sort of thing.
Yeah, get the word out everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see the question over there in the section already. Did Ray help us with the design of the new OSINT Curious logo? She did not. We actually had our designer do it. It took us a couple months back and forth discussing what it was going to look like. But I know that Ray has a history in graphic design, so maybe we should have asked her. Okay, so let's get on with our topics. Are you guys ready? Do you guys have anything to add really quick, or should we all right, let's
no but for those interested, they are still selling shower curtains on Redbubble, because some people were particularly interested in that, and no, they will not have my head on it.
And I'm actually going to show you that stuff right now. So I'm going to share my screen and get into the topics of the day. And our very first topic is Redbubble. Here's our OSINT Curious project page on Redbubble. The way that Redbubble does their setup, you don't get to see all of our content from one page. It's kind of weird, but once you go to the OSINT Curious page on Redbubble, you scroll down. Our drinking one is gone for the moment. We had to re-upload that, but we've got two designs. We've got the logo design, and then we've got the logo on a brick wall. You choose the design that you want. So I just clicked on the logo design, and when it loads, you can see it on the different items, or I think there's a way you can just go through the different items themselves as well. So here's the listing, all departments, and then if we go into home decor, I think that's where the shower curtain's going to be. There it is. There's the shower curtain. And we redesigned it. It had just the one logo on it earlier, and now we have it kind of as a pattern. So we know that the shower curtain is going to be in hot design or hot item, but the socks I think are the best. I did order the socks. So we do.
Yeah, and of course, buying stuff here helps us keeping the show alive, because part of the money helps us. Yeah.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And for example, if we go into the men's or women's or kids, I think all of those will have the socks available. Look, if you want a mini skirt or leggings with OSINT Curious on it, by all means, go for it, right? But again, the proceeds from this just go to that same pot that just keeps us with this show, but then also traveling to different conferences.
I see summer trends coming on. We will set trends with this.
That's right. All right. Okay, articles. So first article. This looks a little familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is now my best rated and best viewed article. So yeah, I just had to put it in again. Mm-hmm. I spent some time about 1.5 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, diving into Google IDs, user IDs, account IDs, and all that stuff, and try to like I said, try and get a grasp on it. Everybody knows that when you have the Google ID, you can open up a photo album or even the reviews that people leave for a restaurant or something like that. But you can find those IDs everywhere. So I actually took a dump that was released about 2 months ago in the public, and I just uploaded them to my contact list of one of my stock accounts, and I started scraping the IDs, and I started finding photo albums, reviews, photos with GPS data in the EXIF, on Google Maps. So this is absolutely brilliant. And I knew it was possible, but I couldn't find any kind of information about it. So yeah, I just wrote a thing.
Yeah, a nice in-depth thing. So
yeah.
Really enjoyed reading it.
I kept expanding on it because during the week I found another 2 things. I thought, oh, you know what, let's add that too. And then people said, yeah, you forgot this. Oh, yeah, forgot that. I was in a hurry. So I added some stuff. So yeah, it grew during the last week.
Yeah, it was interesting to follow, to see that people jumping on the article and making the article together with you even more in depth, because people enjoyed it and they were like, hey, this, you forgot this. That was a really fun thing to see.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, this is awesome. I used to, like when Google Plus was more popular, grab the IDs from there, but I see that you're grabbing from all other places, which is really amazing.
You can find them everywhere. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so the next article we had a tweet about this map demo. Does anybody want to talk to this?
I am absolutely clueless on this one, so maybe Sector.
No. Yes, that was me. I found it, I don't know, someone retweeted it, whether it was Alium or Benjamin. They retweeted it, and this is a new map service, FForm.com. And can you, maybe you can open the link.
Yep, I do have the link open as well.
And the thing is, you can zoom in and it generates buildings in 3D, just as simple square blocks. But it actually just zoom in anywhere in, like, maybe Northern Africa or wherever. You will actually be able to see the buildings. They have, I don't know whether they have some kind of AI working on that. It's not fully, just
not fully. Now it's just started rendering something different here.
Yes, now it starts rendering, and it will start rendering little square blocks.
There we go.
Of buildings. Probably they use some kind of AI to get the data from or OpenStreetMaps or from satellite imagery. And the thing is, if you go to the triple stripe menu on the left next to search, and you can also do the graphic options, and you can change it to day, like sun in the morning or in the afternoon. And you can actually see how the shadows are falling when it's like 12 o'clock, when it's noon.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Absolutely. And you also have ground elevations on the top, and it uses some kind of geographical data to render the terrain heights and everything. It's a little bit heavy in the browser, but it's really awesome.
Have you checked if the building heights are correct?
I'm not sure whether they are actually correct, but they do differ. So a skyscraper will be a lot higher than a church.
Yeah.
So there is absolutely a certain, I don't know whether it's intelligence or whether they actually have some high resolution elevation data, but I doubt the latter. But
well, should be something we should look into, right?
Yeah. You could see, like, this is Tangiers near the Casbah, and I could see, like, this is the main mosque and one of the big hotels. A lot of empty space there, and I know that that's actually a very dense area. So it kind of depends on what buildings were built out too.
Yep.
Very cool though.
Just one more map that people can use.
Exactly. Yeah, and I really do like the settings you showed us over here in the graphic options, because if it's sunny, we'll put the sun on there, and then noon will be boring, but let's try evening. So we can see that, what would be in shade in the late evening and in the morning.
Yeah, it gives you a real good, quick understanding of how a specific area could look like during the time of day. Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
All right. There was another article coming up. Let's see. The fake faces article.
Yeah, I came across it. I don't even know why and how I came across it anymore, but I found it. And it made me think of almost a year ago when Mika and I scraped who this person does not exist for, and we both did 2,000 faces to compare on a hash basis if they are unique. And then we found out together with Jazhav that the faces are perfectly aligned, or at least the eyes, the ears. And this article goes a little bit in depth on how to detect fake faces, which were used during the elections. Basically, by using this person does not exist pictures. So when you scroll down, you'll see that they also determine that the faces have either strange teeth again, or these ears, or when they line up all those eyes. And when you scroll a little bit more down, you will see a whole list of 10 or 12 sock puppet accounts, and then they have a red line over it, and then you'll see that the pupils are perfectly aligned. And that's the way to detect it, because even when a face is looking from the side, so en face, they will always have the pupils perfectly aligned with
Interesting.
the picture. So that's a method to detect AI-generated faces. But also keep in mind that I've experimented and tested with these things, and I also found out that it's not always true, because people like to put their profile picture perfectly in the middle, just because they can. Because when you upload your profile picture, especially into Facebook, you get the ability to shift and shave it a little bit to left and the right to get it perfectly in the middle, because that's the way 9 of 10 times it looks best. So you must be aware of that. So also look for the details like strange ears or teeth that don't match up, because it could be a normal person. And if you are not sure, you can always do a reverse image search or something like that.
Right.
But this was a neat article to just see how a whole lot of accounts were particularly used for, an influence campaign during the elections.
Yeah, I love that these are all coming out right now, and I'm trying to share as many as possible on my Facebook page, where I know there's a lot of people who don't necessarily look as deep. The tagline on this in this website, though, I love right now: lead stories. Just because it's trending doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right.
So I just wanted to point it out. Just you can never be too aware of fake accounts and bot accounts, and at least know ways how to detect them.
Absolutely. All right, next one is yours also, I think, Dutch. It's the NATO researchers. Did you have that one, Sector?
No.
Let me have a look.
Yeah, NATO-linked researchers brought fake social media engagements to test how Facebook, Twitter, and Google combat.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I've read it on my mobile.
Yes.
Yeah, I've read it on my mobile, and the desktop looks different than on my mobile.
Oh yeah.
So, well, it was interesting to see that NATO crafted sock puppets to see how the big parties would react on it. So Google, Facebook, Twitter. If they would take action, how they would take action, what the lack of action was, how they would engage on, let's say, a bot network being rolled out on the network with a certain agenda or a certain narrative. And you'll see the detection of making the actual account was scored and rated, but also to see how the likes and views were delivered. It was a really in-depth experiment to see if these big commercial platforms are doing a good effort in detecting fake accounts, fake social media engagements and accounts, which I found really interesting, because when you're an OSINT practitioner, you on one hand want to detect fake accounts, but on the other hand, you want to own fake accounts because that gives you the advantage in your investigation. So you're always, like NATO in this case, on the lookout for how do the algorithms behind the platforms of Insta, Facebook, YouTube react on how we craft or how we set up our accounts. And this was a really in-depth article on an experiment NATO in this case did.
Yeah.
I found it really interesting to read that even though we like to think, for instance, YouTube is good in detecting certain fake accounts, they're not as good as they
I think YouTube's the worst.
tell they are. Yeah. But
I mean, it shows it right there too. I think they're just,
yeah. It was just, for me, it was really interesting to see that even though they put a lot of effort in artificial intelligence, algorithms to detect it, but still they have a hard job on detecting and tackling large amounts of large base.
Yeah, but it might be perspective. So it looks like on this chart that they don't block the fake accounts, but then they remove the fake likes, etc.
Yeah.
Maybe they're like, they don't care so much. You make an account and they can't tell if you're real or whatnot. But if you start spamming or trying to influence, they remove those kind of the likes.
It looked like it's more about detecting a certain narrative, right, or a certain agenda and trying to filter that. And the agenda
sometimes is just like trying to boost somebody else's account. So like the people who buy the followers.
Yeah,
it's like you make as many as you want.
Yeah, and I can imagine for those companies, it's a thin line for them also, because you don't want to become that company with the name we do censorship all the time.
Right.
Because they do like to pretend that it's a democratic free speech platform all the time, but it's not always the case, right?
Don't forget that YouTube is bringing lots and lots of revenue to Google too. So they can't just block all the accounts and the content.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So, but overall, I think it's worth to read the BuzzFeed News article on how NATO researchers bought these accounts and try to test the platforms. You can learn a lot from it.
All right. Next up, we have this one I added, Access OSINT, who's actually in our chat, using TikTok to discover new leads. And so we have the Medium article right here. TikTok's kind of a hot topic right now. And there's a lot of how to investigate using TikTok. And this is kind of a different take on it. So, again, they're talking about what's exposed. And, pretty interesting article. And so the thing is, don't neglect TikTok. And I can tell you that TikTok's definitely maturing. I don't know if any of you have been using it. Have you guys checked out?
Well, I'm especially the last 4, 5, 6 months, I've seen a super increase in usage, almost from every age group here in Europe, where I'm at. So it's really becoming a more and more valuable platform to pivot into, especially during breaking news events. Also, you can see a lot of people also making TikToks of let's say a large fire in the area or something like that, if you want to keep tabs on breaking news things.
Right. Yeah. And there's a lot of politics, people talking politics, even though, it is certain things are censored in certain countries and they're not shy about saying that. There's still quite a bit of content on there. When I say things are maturing quite a bit, the ads are completely maturing. It used to be like just kind of payday loan ads. And now you're getting all the major advertisers on there. And then this article, again, by Access OSINT, talks about using it as a jumping off spot to get to like Snapchat or to get that phone number by comparing it against the Facebook listings. So
I've seen them, and the graphs which you show in this article, wasn't it from another tool? What's the tool with the Maltego-like tool with Lampire of Lampire. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's also a nice tool to use.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, in the way that these social networks they all link together. They all like refer back to each other. You need some sort of a graphing tool like this to map that sort of thing. And so right there, he does say Lampire.
Yeah, neat article. Yeah.
All right.
Props for that.
Next article, GIGN. We reference GIGN all the time. Global Investigative Journalistic Network. They posted about looking for specific car. There's apparently a car spotting website out there now.
They reference to Matthias Wilson's his blog about how to pivot into VIN numbers, but also make and model. And you have Instagram and all that kind of stuff to see those really expensive cars. And you have the Dutch website, for instance, called Auto Gespot, which means car spotted, where car spotted worldwide chart look for cars. So this was a really good article to get an understanding of how to find most of the time expensive cars.
But one thing I think is it gives us as well, though, is the type of plates to help you identify what country. You need that, you know?
Yeah.
So you can get the cars, but also kind of pivot to the different countries. All right. Next up. So I have to wait until the chat's done. Like I'm getting this little pop-up blocking my tab. Oh my goodness. All right. Next up. So Joshua Wright posted, he's got a blog on SAMS talking about parsing JSON. So if you are doing a lot of work with JSON, I know this got shared quite a bit. He's got a blog, and I'll show you that blog article right here. Zeek JSON logs with JQ. So he's just basically a tutorial on using JQ. So if you are using a lot of JSON, I don't do a lot of JSON. Most of the time I'm like, give me the easiest way. But if you do happen to use that.
Yeah, I did like it because I did never hear about this method, how to parse JSON. And for 2 or 3 searches I was working on, it made my process speed up. So I learned from it, and everything that can make my work speed up is worthwhile because it saves me a click or 2 or something like that. So yeah, I really enjoyed because I've been doing a lot of JSON API I got callbacks from APIs which provide me JSON information, and then you need to parse it and all that kind of stuff. So.
Right. The number one thing, like I bookmarked this because the number one thing that I use JSON on is Hooksy. I don't know if you've used Hooksy before, but you get, you know, even the sample stuff, which you can get for free, you get a big dump of stuff in JSON. So.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We've got Chad Loader has a question for everyone. How do you pronounce OSINT? Okay, so he has 2 choices, but I think there's 2 more because of the way people are talking. So he has OSINT.
Yeah.
You've got OSINT. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there saying OSINT. As you can see, the first comment is OSINT, as in like Australia int, or not necessarily that, but and then OSINT.
Yeah. And I also hear a lot of people, especially Americans, say OSINT.
Yeah, especially or OSINT. You know what? Most Americans, at least that I know, say OSINT. And I mean, coming from the intelligence community, that's how we pronounced it.
Yeah. Same here. I've always pronounced it as OSINT, but I'm fine with whatever as long as we understand each other, right?
Yeah. And looking at it, there was another comment that somebody made further down in the discussion that said, you know, if you look at it compared to all the other ints where you have SIGINT and you have like UINT, all these other ones, you take the first part and then you add int. Well, OSINT takes the first letter and then adds, you know.
Yeah. Otherwise, it would be OINT. That would make sense, right? Yeah.
Yeah, sounds like it would be more, you know, likely, but we want to hear what everybody else thinks. What does our chat room say?
You guys think it's completely empty. Everybody is stumped.
Everybody's stumped.
It doesn't matter, I guess. Whatever you're comfortable with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. And again, I'm just used to saying OSINT, so that's how I would say it. And I know we've been calling it OSINT Curious. So, okay, another funny one. Kaz had a question she wanted to ask everyone. I don't know if you guys know Kaz Stoner. She is I think a younger OSINT. I don't know how you describe her. Maybe a
OSINTer.
An entrepreneur. Yeah. So she wants to have an InfoSec themed birthday party.
That's good. That sounds awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so what kind of stuff would you suggest to her? And I actually translate it to myself as an OSINT themed birthday party, but what kind of stuff do you guys think?
I'd say order a cradle of Club Mate or Club Mate, how you like to call it. And, I find it really disgusting to drink, but that's my problem. It's like the hacker's energy drink.
Oh, okay.
And I would order a lot of ones and zeros to decorate your wall with.
Oh yeah, that's true. Ones and zeros. What else?
And have good Wi-Fi access points, because because your friends won't be talking to you; they will be behind their computers, right?
Absolutely. And send out your invitations, PGP signed, of course, or maybe in base 64. So to get it a little bit nerdy. But yeah, if you want to keep it safe, send it out PGP signed. Absolutely.
And maybe let people attend remote.
Oh yeah, have maybe on the TV, set up a Zoom
webcam.
And then Access OSINT said orders tons of OSINT curious shower curtains and stick them up everywhere. That sounds good to me.
We agree on that.
Yeah.
And maybe as a birthday gift, they can give her little mini CTFs.
Right. Yeah.
As a gift.
All right. That was the all the links I had to share for today. Do you guys have any other things you want to talk about? I didn't see anything further in the...
Well, I want to briefly come back to the last webcast, which we called out all our viewers and attendees and listeners to share their Google Docs. We had a little share your favorite Google Doc or Google or search operator favorite thing. We have been collecting them. Sector and I, and probably Techniset, we have already started the blog. We're doing some final edits on it, so it will probably release somewhere, I hope next week, at least before Christmas. And it will show all the shared Google Docs as well as some extra explanations about how to dork and what are limits behind dorking and all that good stuff.
And some places to go too.
Yeah, also, some pointers, some other cool cheat sheets for Google dorking, and the works. We are working on it. So so feel free, because it isn't published yet. So if you have a favorite Google dork, people, please share it with the hashtag OSINTCurious. We will collect it and we will put it up in our upcoming blog.
Absolutely, we can add more as we go. All right. Another announcement that's coming up is the December 23rd, Techniset and I are going to host a webinar on Facebook. And I forget, I'm so bad at time zones, but I know that it's 7 a.m. in Mountain Time where I'm going to be. So it's like 9 a.m. I guess on the 23rd Eastern Time.
Let me look it up what it is in UTC. 7 a.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, 7 a.m. Mountain Time.
Yeah, that's 2 o'clock on Sunday, UTC.
2 o'clock Sunday.
In the afternoon.
23rd. It's not Sunday. It's 23rd, right? 23rd is a Tuesday.
Well, we'll share it online.
We will be sharing it on. You guys are hearing it first.
Yeah, and it should be really awesome, because I know within OSINTCurious we have been talking for months about this, so expectations are way high. No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure. We're basically going to say, hey, here's the best ways to, things to search for using their normal native search tool. Here's the stuff using some of the other tools that are out there, like the IntelliX stuff and Sauda stuff and OSINT Combine. And then here's the base 64 and when you should be going to it.
Yeah, it should be really awesome, because I know people have been waiting for ages on a webinar like this.
Periodically, so. All right. let's talk about shameless self-promotion. I know you guys didn't have anything in the document. Dutch, what do you have coming up?
Well, one shameless self-promotion, which you already briefly touched. I will be at the Sans OSINT Summit in February, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes, and we have that special code for people to get into that OSINT Summit for a really good price. Well, I can't remember what the price is normally. I think it's
I think you save more than $500. That's the last time I heard. It was a really, really good code.
But it's $175 for if you use the code OSINTPod20, all caps OSINTPod20, and that gets you in for $175.
Yeah.
So. And
there's a lot of cool speakers coming, and probably a live OSINT Curious webcast from the OSINT Summit.
Yeah. And speaking of Sans, Micah's not here today because today he is out doing one of his Sans OSINT classes, but actually, is it even part of his class? He's doing something in conjunction with Trace Labs, doing a person CDF, and he's got something like 90 Sans students working on it right now. So if you want to check up on that, check him up on Twitter. He is WebReacher on Twitter.
Yeah, I talked to him last morning or last night at his time zone. What he said, even Sans instructors who normally won't come out during, let's say, group events, they were there all night. So it was really cool, probably to well, OSINT for good, right? Who would not want to help out find missing persons?
If I was in the DC area, I'd be there as well. But okay, and Sector, what do you have going on?
I don't have anything going on for a couple of weeks. I'm gonna take a break from my newsletter. So this Monday is probably going to be the last because I'm going to be very, very busy for a couple of weeks, and then we'll boot it up again next year. And yeah, I'm still once in a while try and work on some documentation, some blogs, some ideas I've got, but yeah, well, life gets in the way. So
that's true, it does. But we'll definitely miss your blog, and newsletter. We'll expect a really long one in 2020, right?
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
People will be sending you stuff regardless. So
no, we'll be back.
Okay. And then for my own stuff coming up, I do have a class in St. Augustine. It's the Investigative Techniques for Social Media. That's a 3-day class. So if anyone wants to join me in January in St. Augustine, Florida, my set of NDCAC hosted classes, those are law enforcement only, but it is state, local, and federal level law enforcement. Those classes are about to be published on the same page right here. This is pluses.net/events, and we've got them scheduled going through at least February right now. So if you're law enforcement, you live in Florida, I know we've got one in Maryland coming up. We've got a couple other locations. Keep an eye on this page. And I think that's all we have for this week.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So let's thank all the attendees again. I think next episode will be after Christmas, so
it will be.
Everybody, enjoy the holidays, and we'll see you just before the end of the new year, I guess.
Yep. Thank you again for everybody who attended, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah.
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.